Hi, this is Mark from Spark Media, and I'm going to break away from doing a video tutorial or anything like that today. Today we're going to go much more into the audio space. What I'm going to talk about today is this. It's the KORG Volca Beats. It's a nice sunny day, and the reason I'm in here now and I could be outside filming or running around with my dog is because I'm that excited about just finding out what this is like. It's an analog rhythm machine. Why the hell have I got an analog rhythm machine? When you're looking at a movie, a big part of the experience is the soundscaping, but it's quite hard to actually get music. Now we're lucky at Spark Media, we've got a number of collaborators. So for example, we've got Rob Sales from Pro Guitar Skills, we've got Abbas, who makes music himself, also Lucy Kit, so check these people out. But we also like to be able to create our own music. Now, personally, I've been playing around with something called a Juno 6, which is an iconic late 70s, early 80s synthesizer from Roland, and it was an analog synthesizer. It just creates such a fantastic sound, very John Carpenter-esque. It's wonderful for laying down kind of sound beds and stuff like this. What's missing though is percussion. It's a drum machine in a little box, but it's not a tacky cheap drum machine. It's actually using analog waveforms to create the sounds, and it creates kicks, snares, toms, hats, and a whole load of other things, but it's real analog. I was really lucky. I got an email from Production Room down in Leeds, and if you haven't been there, check them out. They're probably one of the best, if not the best, audiophile shop in the UK. Got a really massive range of keyboards, monitor speakers, mics, all kinds of crazy stuff that you're going to need. And then I walked over and I met Luke, who is actually from KORG, and Luke was demoing the Volca Beats and a few of the other things that come with it. I got to talk to someone from KORG firsthand about this. Now, I'm no expert, but I'm a music enthusiast. I'm professionally making music for the backing of my films, so I've got a real need for something like this, and I'm on a learning curve here, and I think sometimes there's value in just sharing that. I'm going to rely on you guys to correct me if I make any mistakes, put them in the comments below, because as someone famously said, not one of us is smarter than all of us. What I am is just enthusiastic about sharing what I learn with the wider community. So this is just sharing the love and sharing the enthusiasm for a product. And yeah, we'll get our hands dirty and we'll have a look. There's no doubting whatsoever who makes this. It's KORG, and it's from the Volca range. So the usual cardboard stuff. Pretty much looks like that's the contents of this box. And here we have the KORG unit. Now, bit of a problem because the 9-volt power pack doesn't look like it's in the box. Okay, so that's basically the instructions that you get with it. Connect the optional AC adapter. It doesn't come with the AC adapter by the looks of it. For me, that's a little bit disappointing because in a studio setting I'm not really going to want to be relying on batteries all the time. This Volca Beats is a rhythm sequencer with an analog sound source at the core. Yeah, so no power. And in the back here, that came off nice and easy, not too difficult. Some devices you really have to fight to get this off. This plastic feels, and it's got a bit of bend, it feels a little bit fragile. So we take 6 AA batteries. So I'm back with some batteries. Let's get some batteries in this bad boy. Now, because it runs on batteries, I suppose the good news is it runs on batteries, and the bad news is, out of the box, it runs on batteries. But it means if I was on the train, I could pop some batteries in, put my headphones, which is a standard 1/8 inch, and it's good to go. So moment of truth. Hit the power button and it makes a clicking noise, and that's about it. Ah, there we go. So you've got to hold down the power button to switch it on. See, we're learning. This is the point of this review, is all these things are great, and when they're demoed by people that know what they're doing and have used them before, then everything works. When you don't know, and it's the first time you've ever had it in your hands, I think you get a bit more of an honest impression about what's going on. So the power button, yeah, hold it down to switch it off, hold it down to switch it on. But just tapping it doesn't do anything. And I suppose that's actually quite a nice feature. If you're playing live, a gig, and someone accidentally hits the button, it's not going to kill your system. What we've got across the front here is the keys. Now, they're behind some kind of plastic or perspex, which means you can literally slide and hit them. You've got, each one of these has a little label below it. So we've got kick, our snare, our low tom, our high tom, our closed hat, open hat, clap, claves, a go-go and crash. The rest of these keys are basically special function keys, but reading across you've got 16 slots, and when you're in play mode it's actually counting the time along the bottom, so it's one bar broken into 16ths. 1, 2, 3, 4. The other thing you're going to notice, it's got a built-in speaker. Now it's not going to sound great, but I've just put batteries in this and it's already usable. Obviously you probably want to put headphones in or connect it up to your door via some kind of analog to digital capture device. I'm going to be using the Focusrite Scarlett 8i6. Let's just stop that for a second. One of these buttons, oh there we go, so we hit play to start, hit play to stop. These buttons here are how you control things. You've got your memory, apparently there's 8 memory banks. You can go into step mode, and what step mode does is it allows you, using these 2 cursor keys, to step through the different instruments. So for example, there's our kick, press it across and we move on to the snare. What this means is this maps the entire bar across here now. So if we select, go back and select the kick, and I'm just going to clear everything because there's obviously stuff that's already programmed in. So we hit down function, we hold down the function key, which is this one, and we hit the all key, and it's now cleared everything. And as you can see now, there's no lights lit up. The only one that's lit up is kick, and this one over here, which is global stutter, and we'll get to that, but that's normal. We can turn it off just by simply holding down function and hitting it. So if we hit play now, you can see the timer going, but there's nothing in there. So we can put a kick in. Let's turn up the volume. Well, this is actually maximum volume for the speakers. So before we go any further, I think what I'll do is I'll plug this in. We've now got this connected up. The way we've connected it up is we've got this lead, which is just basically a 3.5mm TRS through to 1/4 inch TRS jack. Now this outputs stereo. It's not actually stereo, there isn't any difference between left and right channel, but because it's designed to play through your headphones, and obviously you want left and right, then what it does is it takes a signal and it duplicates it on the left and the right channel. So the output here is stereo. On the Scarlett 8i, the channel I've gone in on is a mono. So this isn't actually working that well. But for now, just a quick hack is just to, rather than push this all the way in, is just to go in just enough so that we're coming out. If I push it all the way in, then it's not lining up at the other end in terms of what's being fed through. So, a bit of a lesson learned. The other thing I've done is I've just put some acoustic foam underneath here, because we're on a wooden table here and we're tapping this thing away, so this is going to be making a bit of noise in itself. just because you're banging a plastic box around on top of a wooden table. Then we've got pre-recorded, basically sampled sounds, which are PCM sampled. So we've got clap, claves, a go-go and crash. So when you're hitting one of the analog sounds, you're going to notice that the corresponding button will light up. So you can see here, for example, if I hit the kick, you can see the kick button lighting up. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 opaque buttons on the audio bank. And they correspond to the different instruments. Okay, there's different ways of using this, and just to get started, the easiest way is just take it out of step mode, turn off play, and just do it live. So you can literally hit the different instruments. And have a bit of fun and just get used to the sounds that you can get. We can adjust the amount of kick. But we can also adjust the pitch and the decay. So low pitch, high pitch, and the amount of decay. So how quickly does it break down? So that's quite a big range. If we go on to say the toms, there's two different toms, there's a high tom and a low tom, and we can adjust the pitch of the high tom and the pitch of the low tom independently. So for example, if we go to the low tom, we can drop its pitch, and for the high tom similarly. For both toms we can adjust the decay. But it seems like the decay is the same for both. So if you set it to a long decay on one, it's the same for both. But for the hats, we can vary the amount of decay for the open and the closed one. And overall, the amount of graininess. So we can get quite interesting sounds straight away. We now want to start composing. Now, as I said, I'm no expert, I'm not a musician, although I'm aspiring, I'm learning, and the fun is in playing. So probably the easiest way for someone like me to start is to go into step mode, and I'm just going to hit function and clear all just to reset everything again. I'm now going to start building up some form of percussion. So we're going step mode, and I'm going to use these cursor keys to move to the different instruments. So we'll start with the kick, and this whole length represents one bar, and as I said, it's broken into 16. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that in itself will just give us a kick on every beat within the bar. So if we press play, now if we want to drop the level of just one instrument, then we can use this part level. So we can drop that down, so it's say just a bit more in the background. And now if we step across to the next instrument, and we'll just stop playing for a moment, you can see that all the lights have gone out. If we step back, we can still see where our kick's coming in, but if we step across now to the snare, there's no snares. So one of the nice things you can do is you can just run your finger like that, and we just set a snare on every quarter. So if we play that, Now because I touched the part volume, it brought the snare down, so I can take the snare up, and again I'll stop playing. Now we can just say selectively get rid of some of those snares. Just for fun, see how that sounds. We'll take those snares down. So you can notice on these lights here that when the instrument's firing, you're getting the light. And straight away we're starting to build up something that sounds like percussion. So again we'll stop, we'll step across to the next level, and we're on the low tom. Now if I want to remind myself what that low tom sounds like, I'll just take it out of step mode and hit the low tom. I'm going to drop that down and take the decay off just a little bit. Okay, so go back into step mode, we're on the low tom, I'm going to drop its level right down, and we'll just try something like this. Let's bring up the low tom. So you can see it's really quite easy. So now we can step across, say, to clap. And we'll take the clap down. So I'm just going to pause for a minute. What I'm going to show you now is this PCM speed. The PCM speed applies to the clap, claves, a go-go and the crash. In other words, those pre-sampled samples, and you can speed them up or slow them down, irrespective of the actual tempo. So if we listen to the clap, so I'm going to bring the clap up, so I can slow it down, I can speed it up. So straight away we're actually having fun. What I'd say is it's actually really intuitive to use. I was worried that it would take a lot of knowledge just to get anything out of it. So this is really fun to play with. There's some quite advanced functionality when you start getting into it that Luke from KORG demoed. And for example, you can cut, say, the last 4 parts out. So you go to a 3 step rather than 4 beats to the bar, you go 3 beats to the bar. You can isolate just an instrument, a bit like soloing, or you can remove just an instrument. It's all done through the function button, and across the bottom there's indications of what these function buttons do. Read the instructions, I think. But just to get started and just to start playing with it, it's actually really, really easy to use. So let's have a listen to what we got so far, and note that this global stutter light is on here, because, and firstly I'm just going to take the claps now. Okay, so we've got these two, which is time and depth, and this is to do with stuttering. So at the moment they're both set to 0, which means there's no stutter and there's no delay. But as you introduce more time and stutter, you can start creating some quite funky effects. For example, like this. Now, from what I understand, it's possible to record some of these automations as well, but that's going to be a bit more advanced, and really what I wanted to do is just provide a hands-on first play of, you know, what this is like to actually get your hands on it, start playing. So, you know, what we've discovered is things like, you know, if you want to go mono to mono, then really need a mono lead, although it's stereo output, that it runs on batteries out the box, and you know, I think the 9-volt adapter is obviously something you have to pay extra money for. It's a hell of a lot of fun, and you know, you can make something that's actually, well, I mean, I'm not saying this isn't good, but you can start getting a percussive track straight away. It's intuitive. Obviously, the more advanced features are going to take a bit more thinking and learning, but I'm not intimidated by this. This is making it really accessible, and it looks good as well. I think it's brushed aluminium. The front plate here is metal. I'm not so sure about the plastic around the sides, but this is portable. I could imagine, you know, when I'm travelling, I might just take this with me, plug some small headphones in, and at least I can start creating some stuff. Plug it into the laptop, and we're well away. If you're into MIDI, this does have MIDI in. The build quality of it, overall, I think is really, really good. The one concern I have is about the longevity and of this plastic casing. When I took the battery case off, it did flex, and that gave me some reassurance that it's not too brittle. I'm sure they've done their homework. But what you've got to remember is, this only cost 120 quid. If it cost 250 quid, it would still be a bargain. I was discussing this with the guys at Production Room, and obviously they sell KORG stuff, they sell Roland stuff, they sell a whole range of various companies' stuff. They don't have to, you know, they can have an opinion, and even they were blown away by this. When they got the first shipment in, I think they had about 10-15 units. They put an email out, the whole lot sold within the first few hours. They were gone that day. When I bought this was the last one that they had in stock. So I think people realise this is great value for money. It's very similar to something that Roland did many years ago, and Roland no longer do. And I think Roland have completely dropped one in terms of just missing what people want, because the popularity of this already is extremely good, and for the price, I'm just blown away. So let me just stop this. So even with the limited understanding I have of how to use it, I'm already making percussive music, and I can see how this is going to fit nicely into my workflow. I'm excited about finding out some of the new features, some of the, well, new to me, but some of the more advanced features. I'm actually going to read the instructions. So it's, I think, just phenomenally good value for money. You get some nice little things, like you get a little bit of light spill through this plastic casing, so in a darker room you'll see these lights coming through, and I think actually it just looks quite cool. It's very, very small, not so small that it's difficult to actually use the buttons, and you can get your fingers in there. Nothing feels too cheap. You know, these there's a nice amount of resistance on all of these. They don't feel like they're just going to fall off. Yeah, I'm completely very, very impressed with this little box here, this little box of magic. The batteries I put in weren't fresh, and I don't know how long they'll last, but it's certainly not complaining. So time will tell. So I'll put some comments below when I've been using it for a week or two, give you guys more information. But I think for the money, it's well worth the punt. Like I said, if it was twice the price, I would still probably have bought one. When you put it through, I'm going to sort out the lead and stuff, but when you put it through a really nice system, yeah, it just blows things away really. And it also, with the use of this patch lead here, you can sync it with your other KORG devices that are compatible, and that and MIDI as well. So yeah, what can we say? Fantastic value for money. There's a few things I am a bit annoyed about, like not getting the DC adapter. You kind of assume you're going to get one, so there we go. At least we know that now. But I can actually forgive that. Batteries are great from a portable point of view, but from an environmental impact point of view, it's nice to plug into the mains and not have to just keep going through batteries all the time. So I will be buying the 9-volt adapter. I've got no idea how much that's going to cost, but considering this was good value for money, I'm not expecting it to cost too much. So this has been just a first impressions review. It's extremely light. It kind of added about 40% on putting the batteries in. It's now bottom heavy. I do think it's worth taking a little bit of sound insulation foam or something just to put underneath, because it does have these little rubber feet, but when I put it on the table and was tapping it, you're getting a lot of noise from the table. Just putting it on here makes a difference, and I'm actually really excited. I'm going to stop this review so I can now just play with my new toy. Hopefully you found some of this useful. Your feedback's welcome. You can find us on Twitter if you want. Here's our Twitter mug. So yeah, follow us on Twitter. Put useful comments below. Like I said, I'm not tending to have all the answers. I don't know everything about this, but I just wanted to share with other people who similarly have the same challenges in terms of creating music, something new that I think is just fantastic, and at a price that just makes it very, very accessible. So I'm excited. I want to share that with you guys, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Cheers.